How do you heal from the betrayal trauma caused by infidelity and being cheated on when you're still in contact with the person who hurt you? Maybe you're trying to reconcile, maybe you share children, maybe you live together and just can't leave yet, maybe you're still deciding whether to stay or go. All the recovery strategies that people talk about, regulating your nervous system, reducing hypervigilance, rebuilding trust in yourself, become a bit more complicated when the person who violated your safety is still in your daily life. So, how do you recover from betrayal trauma when you can't or don't want to cut off contact? This is one of the more challenging scenarios, but it's also the most common. Like most of the time, the healing has to begin before you fully know whether you want to stay or leave. And so let's talk about what makes this hard and what actually works. Part of what makes this difficult is that your nervous system needs safety cues to heal. Trauma keeps your threat detection system activated. And so for your nervous system to calm down, it needs repeated experiences of safety, predictability, trustworthiness, absence of threats. But when the person who violated your trust is still present, every interaction is a potential trigger. So their phone going off, a pause before they answer a question, coming home late, a change in tone, your brain still thinks the threat is right there because in a way they still are. So you're struggling with two competing ideas. One is I need to feel safe to heal, and the other one is that the person who made me feel unsafe is right next to me. So you want closeness and healing, but that closeness is also threatening. And then any new information that comes out also tends to restart the trauma response. And in many cases of reconciliation, new details emerge over time. Even new details that weren't intentionally or maliciously withheld. Sometimes just random small details will come up that can bring back a lot of the original shock and extend the timeline of healing. And so I want to be very clear that this is a difficult path, but it's not impossible. It just requires people to be engaged and to be intentional. So this is the biggest reason why transparency and honesty are an absolute requirement for rebuilding together. So this does not look like the betrayed partner saying, I'll just tell you what you need to know. True transparency usually looks like no locked phones, no secret accounts, no hidden communication, full disclosure, and going through a full disclosure process with a third party if necessary. Immediate honesty about where you're going, who you'll be with, what you'll be doing. What you're really wanting is predictability through transparency, because that predictability, the reliability, is what makes the brain feel safe again. The second thing that's important is that the person who caused the harm takes responsibility. So this means being able to have conversations without a ton of defensiveness or blame shifting or minimizing. It means being able to postpone a lot of the genuine complaints that they might have about the conditions that led to them wanting to cheat in the first place. And it means being consistently accountable. Not just having one perfect apology up front and then never owning up to it later on. One of the reasons this is helpful is because they often felt like they were going crazy. They often felt and were gaslit. And so having it validated is an important part. And this can even help them rebuild trust in themselves. The third thing that is so important is that you need clear, boundaried conversations about the betrayal. Have designated times to discuss the betrayal. Not constant, but not avoided. Oftentimes, the betrayed spouse wants to talk about it 24/7 and will say, but you did this to me, so you have to help me heal, as an excuse to bring it up whenever they want. And oftentimes, the unfaithful partner will say, but we've already talked about this, we need to move on. Neither of those options are right. It has to be somewhere in the middle. Whether it's short amounts of time each day where you want to have permission to talk about it, or a couple of longer periods of time once or twice a week, but it cannot be every single day, all day long, because that just keeps both partners on edge instead of being able to create safety through shared loving experiences. It's also very important for the betrayed partner to have space. For a lot of people, this might mean temporarily being separate, like living in separate areas, or it might just mean having a room in your house or a place that you can go to outside the house that feels safe. So a room in the house that's yours where you can regulate specific times of day that are non-negotiable for you to be alone. Relationships outside the partner where you feel safe, so friends or family or working with a coach or a therapist. Even small pockets of guaranteed feelings of safety can just help regulate the nervous system. And now is not the time to start blindly trusting. And I think that you know that. So if you're attempting reconciliation, your hypervigilance is a survival response, and you do have the right to ask questions and to request transparency and to verify when you need it. And so combining this with the point of not talking about it 24/7, you need to do some of the processing on your own in terms of writing things down to say, okay, I noticed this potential discrepancy on Tuesday. It's now Thursday at our time that we agreed on that we would go through this stuff. Now I want to talk to you about it. And that also helps to space it out so that you both aren't coming at it in the moment. You're able to have a little bit of space to breathe first. And if a partner genuinely is committed to reconciliation, they will understand that this is not about you punishing them. It's about helping your brain reestablish safety. And if they are completely unwilling to be transparent, they probably have more stuff they're hiding. Another thing that can be helpful is just tracking small trust-building moments. So notice moments when your partner was transparent or consistent or trustworthy, and feel free to write it down. Let yourself acknowledge it, even if it feels small. This isn't you forcing yourself to be positive, and it's not you forcing yourself to make a decision about trusting them. It's learning to be objective and just noticing the good and the bad. And it's retraining your threat detection system along the way to notice safety cues, not just danger cues. So when should you reconsider reconciliation? Well, if the harm is still ongoing, if they're still lying to you, if they're still gaslighting you, insisting that you're crazy or it wasn't that bad or everybody does this, if there's emotional or physical abuse, if they're still in contact with the affair partner, then definitely reconsider trying to reconcile with this person. Similarly, if they are just refusing accountability, if they say things like, I said I'm sorry, what more do you want? If they're blame shifting constantly, if there's no genuine empathy for your pain, and if there's impatience with your healing timeline, then I would reconsider whether or not it's worth trying to reconcile. For some people listening to this or watching this, the best thing you can do is leave. Staying in contact with someone who continues to harm you can prevent your recovery. If they're not the right person, if they genuinely are not safe for you, why would your body feel safe? You need to prioritize your safety and well-being. And both partners need to understand that healing isn't always linear in a relationship. Even if both of you are doing relatively well and healing on your own, sometimes the relationship will still have bumps. And getting over it isn't the goal. Integration, restored safety, a new and better relationship than ever before, that's the goal. So, can you recover from betrayal trauma while still in contact with the person who hurt you? Yes, absolutely. But only if there's genuine accountability, there's genuine transparency, you have spaces and practices that create safety. Both people are committed to doing the work. They're not rushing the other person. Your symptoms are improving over time, not worsening. And you are simultaneously having buckets where you are focused on fixing the relationship, but then also focused on creating moments of just joy and love between the two of you. If these conditions aren't met, then staying might just be more re-traumatizing than it is healing. Regardless, remember that recovery is not about the choice. It's not about whether you stay or go. It's about whether you, your heart, your nervous system can experience consistent, predictable safety. And it's about putting yourself in the best position to experience that safety. Sometimes that happens within the relationship. Sometimes it requires leaving. And sometimes it requires leaving, but then you're both able to heal and then you can come back together in the future. Only you can know. There is no person, guru, book, wizard, scientist, anyone out there that can determine what's best for you. You need to trust yourself, trust your nervous system, and get the support that you need to make the choice that's right for you. If this was helpful for you, feel free to book a call with me. We can talk about your situation in particular. And feel free to subscribe or follow if you want more of this type of content.